Thank you. So who here has had any number of symptoms through their life with illness? Headaches, digestive symptoms, skin rashes. Who here has had them for any length of time? My mission is to really create a health revolution, because what I've found in my life is, through my own pain and through my own illness, that's something that we're not meant to live with. The first secret I want to share with you is that our natural state is actually one of health, happiness and vitality. And I know this because I've experienced it myself, and I've been able to help thousands of people to do the same. I was driving down the freeway and my usual illness, which was foggy head, unbelievable aches in the body. I was amazed that I could get myself out of bed that day. And I was going to about my 300th doctor's appointment. And I went from specialist to specialist to specialist because I had so many symptoms. But unfortunately, in the Western system, you get treated by symptom, not as a person. Now, this is not to say that Western medicine is bad. I love Western medicine. When I had a car accident and I broke my neck, I wanted a hospital. When I had a heart problem, I wanted a hospital. But for most other things that I've had, I didn't want that. So I was on the way to yet another appointment, and all I could think was, please let this be the person who finally helps me. I don't know how much longer I can go on like this. Because it had already been about 4 years living like this. And after you've been through a lot of pain for 4 years, physical pain, and after you've been through your mental pain and emotional pain, and you've had just about every symptom you can think of, it wears you down. And so I was slumped over in the car, driving down the freeway, and a voice came into my head that said, "You're not meant to live like this. You're meant to be healthy and happy." And I thought, I think that's strange. I haven't thought for a while. And I kept driving, and it happened again. And it kept saying to me, "You're not meant to feel like this. Turn the car around." And so about 500 metres down the road, I did. I turned the car around, I went home, I cancelled the appointment, and I went looking for someone who could actually help me. And I found a naturopath, I found a nutritionist, and I went down the traditional medical route. And lo and behold, I started getting better. So I thought, well, after about 2 years, I was functioning really well. And I thought, well, there's something in this. I've got to do this, and I've got to help everyone else get better. So I went and studied to become a naturopath and a nutritionist, and then I was able to spread my message. But I hadn't really learned everything, obviously, we never do, but I hadn't learned everything. When I had the car accident, I was in the spinal unit and I was in rehab, and I became a personal trainer because the rehab person helped me. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to help people. And so I became a trainer. And then after I got sick, I wanted to become a nutritionist and naturopath, just like people have been able to help me. But it only happened because I had this thought that you're not meant to live like this. Now, unfortunately, we're taught that this is okay. I was around a lot of people who were also unwell. Now, we turn up to work every day, we see it on the news. The first secret is that we are meant to be healthy and happy and vital. And what we have to do is change our beliefs completely. So, all or some of you may have found that you sit in front of a doctor and they say, "I don't know why you're sick." Some people just get sick. Has anyone heard that? Just cause. I've got some doctor friends who will actually say to people, "We don't know why you get cancer, you just do." That's okay. Sometimes you hear, it's just a numbers game. You just get what you're given. Sometimes you hear, I've been on medication for 20 years. I'm never getting off it. There's all these kind of beliefs that we have set in ourselves that prevent us from actually getting better, prevent us from being as healthy and as vital and as happy as we can possibly be. And this becomes even more important because there are more illnesses and more depression, more anxiety, more suicide that we were speaking about earlier. There are more illnesses than there has ever been before. And the rates of those illnesses are sky high. So there's something that we need to do. The second secret is that we need to have all of our elements flowing together, much like the foundations of a house. So we need the physical elements. We need our body moving properly. We need to feed it well. We need our digestive system working. We need to be able to breathe. When was the last time we breathed in a way that was deep? We're shallow breathers, and we often, anxious people, don't breathe. They'll stop breathing. They'll hold their breath while they're thinking these thoughts. And then we've got the mindset. So we've got clarity and focus and memory, and we've got the thoughts that we think. Many of the thoughts that we think are really, really intertwined with our surroundings. Everyone's heard of you are the 5 people who you surround yourself with. And unfortunately in this day and age, we're a little bit more isolated than that. It's actually, you're probably the next person or the people that you work with. Perhaps you're not that close with them, but you're around them. And so we've got to make sure that what we put in our mind is actually what we want to be there. So we've got clarity and focus and memory, and then of course we've got emotional health. So we've got our moods, and we've got happiness and sadness and joy, and we've got connection, community. And these are all things that in today's day and age are we're starting to miss out. And then we've got spiritual health. Now that can mean anything you want. What it means to me is believing in something larger than yourself, whether that be religion, whether that be a footy club, whatever that might be. It's being in a community that's bigger than yourself and being part of something that means something to you. So it's not just all about you. It's about other people, and it's about giving value. It's about giving out. So these are areas of life that if we've got these areas, we know that everything works together and flows together. I don't believe in balance. I think balance is a myth. I believe everything flows. Perhaps one day you'll be more focused on physical, one day you'll be more focused on mindset. But in general, it all balances out and flows together. Now, we know that, for example, you would have heard of gut health. It's a big thing nowadays. I remember the first time I saw that a few years ago in the paper, and I thought, naturopaths have been saying that for 50 years. That happens a lot. I see things in the paper and I think, we've been saying that. Oh, and people listen. So gut health really impacts mental well-being. We know this. So we know that all the pillars and all the elements need to work together. We know that, for example, stress is reduced by movement. You don't have to do much, but stress is reduced by movement. We know that 85% of people who move and increase their physical ability, 85% of them need less antidepressants. We also know that when you form in a community, you feel connected with other people. You get asked, how are you? In a meaningful way. You get asked, how was your day? Now a lot of people, even though they're living together, they're not getting asked this. They're not getting asked, how are you? How did you sleep? How was your day? We're not getting touch. Now, we're beings that need touch. We're society people. We need communication. and we need touch. The research shows that we actually need 12 hugs a day to receive our quota of love. Now, animals are great for picking up the slack, but we need connection with someone else. We need touch. That's why a lot of these massage places are doing so well, because people are craving to be touched. So what we need to do is make sure that we're combining all of these elements together. And it's not as hard as you might think. There are so many beliefs coming back to number one. There are so many beliefs that are not serving us. So a lot of people I speak to, I own a gym and I would see at least 300 people walk past my door in a day, and I try and talk to as many people as possible. And I often hear people say, you know what, being a health coach, it's hard work. It's really hard work to exercise. Or everyone else can eat whatever they want, but I can't. Have you ever heard people talk like that? And I can promise you it's not true. The third one is listening to our body's signs and symptoms and signals. And something else I hear a lot of is, and you'll know this because we all do it, oh, I've had a headache every day for a week, it's so annoying. Or I've got really bad digestive symptoms and it's just annoying. My body is just annoying. I don't know what to do. Or I've got a cold. I can't have a cold, I have to go to work. Whoever says that, or they hear people saying that. So this soldier-on attitude is really, really dangerous, because I soldiered on for a really long time. I was young and I was in the fitness industry. I had gotten over my injury and I'd spent years in the fitness industry. I was super fit. And so I thought, well, you're young and super fit, you've got to buck up, girl. If you're not feeling well, look at everyone around you. All these young guys and girls. And I began to have all these symptoms. And I just said to my body, you know what? You're too young and too fit, just get on with it. And the amazing thing about the body is that it will keep coming at you if you don't listen to it. It's way smarter than we are. So I kept having these symptoms, and months later the symptoms got worse. And I went to the doctor because back then I was of the understanding that if you had something wrong with you, you should go to the doctor. They should tell you what's wrong with you, and they should give you something for that to stop the symptoms. That's what should happen, because symptoms are annoying. So I went to the doctor and I was on tablets for digestive symptoms. I had headaches, my back pain was coming back from a car accident, and I had skin rashes, I couldn't get myself out of bed, I was working ridiculous hours, and eventually I ended up in hospital. And I was in hospital in the emergency ward, and my partner had taken me in, and I was fighting him at the time, saying, I don't want to do this. I've got important things to do. I need to be at work tomorrow, and I have a dog I need to look after. And the very clever doctor at the hospital said, just give me one night in hospital, because I was fighting with her, saying, I don't want to be here, I'm not staying here. She said, just give me a night. If you give me a night, we'll let it be that. 2 weeks later, I was still in there, because I had pneumonia, and I had pleurisy, and I was really, really sick. But I wouldn't let myself be sick, so I was actually still fighting with this woman, saying, I was vomiting, I couldn't breathe, my lung had collapsed, but I was still saying, I don't want to be here. I'm not sick enough. Hospitals are for sick people. I'm not sick, I'm fit, I'm young. And even at the time, I could see her face looking at me thinking, you're a bit weird. You're so sick, what are you doing? And so 2 weeks later, I felt a lot better. And I went straight back to everything I was doing. I did exactly the same thing. I didn't learn a thing. All I learned was that I didn't want to be sick. It was horrible being sick. And now I'd wasted 2 weeks of my life and I needed to get back to doing things. Because I had a job, I had a boss, I was in trouble, and I had people relying on me. So I went back to doing exactly what I was doing. The hours, the eating, the not listening to my body. And for some strange reason, I thought, well, that made me better. What's the problem? I'll just keep taking whatever tablets the doctor gave me and they'll be fine. That makes sense. And so about 6 months later, the body is amazing. It put up with another 6 months. And then it happened again. And so there I was with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and doctors were talking to me about MS and rheumatoid arthritis, and everyone I went to had a different opinion. I didn't really care at the time. All I knew was that I wanted to feel better. By this time, if we go back to 4 years into being chronically unwell, depression and anxiety had set in. So I was fairly low, and chronic pain, anxiety, being unwell all the time, it affects your relationships, it affects everything. If you remember the last time you had a cold, or more than a cold, something that kept you in bed, and you couldn't go to work, so you didn't have the social connection, you couldn't earn your money, you didn't have purpose, you couldn't really give to your partner or receive from your partner in any way, not even a conversation. You just, when you're sick, you're sick. Don't come near me. Just get me some water and leave me alone. Turn the lights off. So life goes away when we're not well. It disappears. Which is amazing to me because my health is something that I just took for granted. And I expected to be there always. Even worse, I expected someone else to deliver it for me. I expected to sit in front of a doctor and for them to say, here's what's wrong with you, here's a tablet, fixed. And that works for a short amount of time. We do need that help sometimes. But I was going to rely on it forever. Not understanding at the time that symptoms and signs and signals were my body's way of talking to me. It was actually saying to me, what we're doing isn't right. You need to listen. Either you're working too hard, you're not eating right, and that I was doing all of it. But it's our body's way of speaking to us. So I often say to people, well, if you're having a headache too often, is that your body saying something? Could you maybe talk to your body and ask it what it needs? Could you delve a bit deeper instead of taking the Panadol? Might be okay for one headache, but what happens when you're having a headache every week? What happens when you've got digestive problems and it's affecting you mentally and you're actually needing to rush to the toilet? And the first thing you do when you enter a venue, when you go out, is look for the toilet signs. Because you know that if you eat anything in that restaurant, you're going to be in trouble and you're going to have to find a toilet. It's no good just putting band-aids on our symptoms when that's the way our body speaks to us and says, hey, can you listen? I want to have a talk to you. Because if you did what I did, you'll keep asking your body to shut up with tablets and you'll keep going, and eventually your body, being more clever, will say, honey, I'm going to stop you now. You're not listening. You're continuing to not listen, so I'm just going to cut you off at the legs and I'm going to stop you. I'm just going to sit you on your bum and say, enough. And unfortunately, I did a good enough job that I spent years being unwell. Years looking for someone to help me. Years looking for the answer. So I would have been on 42 diets. I've counted 42, I'm sure it's more. in my life. The average person is 10. Part of that is sometimes when a new diet comes out, I like to practice so I can tell my clients about it. Most of that was me trying to get well. I went on every single diet you can think of because I thought a diet would fix me. Nutrition was part of it. It was part of that physical element. But it's not everything. I would have tried every physical helper, massage, Reiki, energy healing, crystal healing, colour therapy, you name it, I've done it. And there was a time there that I thought, and some people that I was surrounded by also said, you know what, it's probably just it. This is probably your life now. That's just the way it is. And for a moment I thought, well, okay, that's disappointing. If that's it, then that's it. And for a little while there I gave up and I thought, no, I'm going to keep seeing doctors because I do want help, but if that's all they can do, that's all they can do. And then I drove down the freeway. And then I got that message that said, no, this is not it. This is not how people are meant to live. You've done this to yourself. So we need to understand and learn the skills of what our body's telling us when our body speaks to us through signs, signals and symptoms. We need to understand that and learn that. That is a life skill that we can learn that will mean you're never on a diet again. That will mean when you get a symptom, you know exactly what to do and how to deal with it. That you don't have to suffer chronic illness. And I'm going to share this story with you just to finish so that you know how easy it is to put into practice. On Sunday, this last Sunday gone, a friend of mine knocked at the door. My best friend knocked at the door. And I thought, oh, you know what? I don't have time. I just don't have time. I'm very, very busy and I'm not really in the mood to deal with feelings right now. You know what? I'm just not. But she was there. So I opened the door and I thought, oh, what can I do? Can I give her some wine and some chocolate and sit her in front of the TV and do my stuff? I thought, no, that's wrong. Can't do that. And I thought, okay, can I tell her to come back later? Because that'll suit me better. But she was standing there saying, look, I'm really stressed, I need to talk to you. And I thought, no, that won't do. Okay, so shall I give her a pep talk and say, you've got a really good life, others have got it much worse, just buck up. I thought, yeah, it's not much good either. So I took her for a walk. We went for a walk and I said, you know what? I'm just here to listen. I'm just going to listen to you. And I said, all of those feelings that you're feeling, just name them and feel them. It's okay. So we went for a walk and she was feeling these things and she was talking and saying, well, this is how I feel and this is how I feel. I said, okay, I'm just listening. It's all good. And the problems that she was having, she needed some solutions. So we came up with some solutions and some action steps. And afterwards we got back and she said, you know what? I feel really, really heard. I feel like you've listened to me and I feel visible. Thank you. You didn't just sit me in front of the TV and give me wine, alcohol and chocolate. You didn't give me chips. You didn't tell me to buck up. You didn't tell me to come back. All I needed was 10 minutes of your time to tell you how I felt and for someone to hear me. Now the only thing is, that person on Sunday was me. I am my own best friend. I am in charge of my health. I am in charge of my recovery. I get to choose how I live my life and how I want to be. And it's as easy as that. Instead of putting ourselves in front of the TV and having chocolate Instead of saying no to ourselves, it's as easy as going for a walk or sitting outside under the sun and saying, you know what, I'm here. I'm going to listen to you, I'm here for you, I see you. That's all it takes to start the health revolution of people taking responsibility for their health, for actually stepping into health, and for living their life on purpose. The start is actually being there for ourselves. Knowing that we can take the power back and be responsible for our health. And knowing that if we have those 3 elements, we can put it all together. Thank you.